Oh, live again, live again, live. Oh man. Well, not too much to talk about this week. I guess the one thing we need to discuss is the Respect for Marriage Act. It was signed this week by Biden, and he invited a lot of guests. Now, you would think at this particular point, since this is, and it's been admitted to by some of the right that it is the gay marriage, to be sure that the Supreme Court cannot overthrow uh, same-sex couples getting married. Uh, Basically, this is Clarence Thomas's fault. Clarence Thomas said something about it because of the Roe. It was also because of Roe v. Wade being overthrown. Now, I will go back and say this: Roe v. Wade was weak law from the very start. Uh, Roe v. Wade a gave the people a law that was not in the books. The Constitution clearly states that if a law is not in the Constitution, it goes to the state. Roe v. Wade never should have been passed in the first place. It was an activist court, and I'm not going to go around and discuss problems with activist courts versus constitutional courts. Uh, Mainly because it's not worth the hassle. Whether you agree with the court now, which is a constitutional court, they go by the Constitution. An activist court, for those of you that do not understand the term of that, uh, they tend to create laws on the books on their judgments instead of letting it go to Congress. And then the constitutional courts come around and we look at the law and most of the time overturn it, and then that makes everybody mad, and then everybody starts wanting to abort the court, kill the justices, or stack the court. Uh, Getting back to the bill. Now, the signing of the bill was no big deal. Lots of bills get signed every day. I'm not saying there was no big deal about the law. The law is a big deal. We'll talk about that in a minute. Uh, let's talk about the guests that were invited to the signing. You would think you would see a bunch of same-sex couples at the signing, and you did see one or two, but mostly you saw drag queens, at least two of them. Now, you can say what you will, and I'll probably lose friends over this, and if I do, I'm sorry I offended. No, I'm not sorry I offended you. Uh, right is right and wrong is wrong. We should have a standard as to who and what is invited to the White House. We have countries from all over the world watching us. And, I don't mind that they were invited. However, some of the actions that looked like that was going on, I did not appreciate. Law I do not appreciate, not because it protects same-sex marriages, but because it puts in danger Christians' companies. Now, the preachers are protected in the law. There's no denying that. The preacher does not have to marry a same-sex couple. However, not protected is the businesses. So, a business now, whether they agree or disagree, and it doesn't matter if they got Christian principles that prevent them from doing it, they're going to have to do it, or else they're going to get sued. Now, the Republicans swore to us. This is one reason I don't like Republicans, because you can't trust Republican, you can't trust a Democrat. You cannot trust any politician. Politicians are only out for one person, and that's themselves. To stay, they want to get reelected time and time again. They have no care about the nation. They have no care about the people. The only thing they care about is the party. Now, if you got a disagreement with that, stick it below. Just keep it classy, not trashy. So if I'm a cake maker and I do not believe in same-sex marriage, and I believe that God's against same-sex marriage, and that by me supporting it, I'm committing a sin, I'm going to have to commit the sin. Because if I don't do it, then the couple that's asked me to do it, instead of going to find another baker that's probably going to do a better job because they want to, they're willing to do it, instead of finding one of them, they're going to go to a lawyer, they're going to sue. You're going to see a lot of Christians getting sued over this. And you're going to see a lot of judges come down hard on Christians. It does not matter whether we agree or disagree. We have to do it. Now, how is this going to play out? I do not know. We'll see how it's going to play out. This could be the first step in doing away with religious freedoms in some way. You can still worship the way you want to, but you cannot base your decisions on your Christian faith. This is what the liberals want to happen. They do not think Christianity should factor into any decisions in the public domain. Evangelical Christians who, we are not the bad guys, there's no doubt about that. You might as well put that on. We wear the black hats now. Evangelicals will always put the Bible first. Liberals don't like that. They want the Bible to stay in the churches on Sunday. And they want you to follow the law, which in most of cases we are instructed to do. Render to Caesar what is Caesar's, and render to God what is God's. However, there is a time, and there's going to be a time when we cannot follow the law. It's either going to be follow God's law or follow man's law. I will tell you right now, I will not follow man's law. Mainly because man can't do anything to you except lock you up and take away your money. You don't follow God's laws, you can wind up in hell if you're not a Christian. So that's another thing we're going to be talking about later on, is why we believe Christianity is the only way to heaven. There is a lot of dissension about that, even in some churches. All right, that's my rant on the Respect for Marriage Act. Is it a good act? I don't know. Is it the Gay People's Act, Gay Marriage Act, or Same-Sex Act, Marriage Act? Yes, it is. I hope that there are some ends to protect Christians that will not follow that, because there are some Christians that will not accept same-sex marriage. And they should not be forced into doing something that they morally think is wrong. But that's just me. It's like I say. My The way I look at things, in a quarter won't even get you a coffee these days. Uh, let's go back and take a look at what we started last time. We started the look at the 7-year period known as the tribulation. We looked at the first half of the tribulation. We're going to take some time and look at the second half. There are a lot of things that's going to happen at the end of the first half, and they are going to happen rather quickly. And some of the things may be lost if you don't pay attention to what's going on, and then you're going to go back and say, when did this happen? The first thing that's going to happen is, and this may happen during the 30 minutes of silence in heaven. You remember there's going to be 30 minutes of silence in heaven. That's the only time stamp that we have in the whole book of Revelation. We have numbers of armies. We have numbers of people that's in certain areas in certain parts of time during this. Time stamps we don't have any of except for 30 minutes in heaven where there's complete silence. And that kind of worries me if I was down here on earth. And if we are mid-tribbers, we will be down here on earth. If we are pre-tribbers, we're going to be in heaven during this time. We talked about what the 30 minutes could be. It could be when the rapture hits. It also could be an either or situation when the 144,000 evangelists are marked by God's sign, which will protect them through the Great Tribulation. Now, let's go on the assumption that during the silence that the 144,000 are marked. We already have two witnesses down here on earth, and I believe them to be Elijah and Enoch. A lot of people believe them to be Elijah and Moses because of Mount Transfiguration and a few other things. During this time, their 3.5-year ministry will come to an end. They will be killed, and they will be left lying in the streets for a certain amount of time. And there will be people all over the world celebrating their death. It will be Christmas early. They will be given gifts. I say you, if you're still down here, you'll be given gifts. You'll be singing songs of the great killing of the two witnesses that brought about major heartaches. Because remember that they'll be able to have superpowers to kill anyone that tries to kill them. They will be able to call plagues from heaven on to the earth. And they'll be able to cause droughts and such. So now they will be killed. The 144,000 will go to evangelize, and at this point we're going to need 144,000 because things are going to go from the tribulation to the Great Tribulation. So the death of the witnesses will be the first thing that's going to happen, and the marking of the 144,000. So that's done. The Antichrist will have his enemies. The Antichrist will be killed. He will suffer a head wound, and he will die. Much as Jesus was crucified, and he died too, And if you go back to notice, Jesus also had a head wound when they put the crown of thorns on him. Even though the Antichrist is dead, there will be a false resurrection. Basically, what we think is going to happen is that when he comes back to life, he will be indwelt by the spirit of the Satan. Satan will take over the body, bring it back to life, or at least animate it, and the Antichrist will continue, and the Antichrist will be raised from the dead, and there will be great tribulation. Now, what does this mean that the Antichrist being raised from the dead? It will mean an end to religion as we know it. If you remember, the 7 year tribulation starts out with the signing of the 7 year peace agreement between Israel and the world. And in this, Israel is supposed to get the temple back. They're supposed to get their worship back. They're supposed to be able to sacrifice and be able to celebrate uh, their holidays and to follow the rules laid down by the law of Moses. This will last until the assassination of the Antichrist. When he is brought back to life, the Antichrist will renege on the 7 year treaty. So we're 3.5 years into the tribulation. He's assassinated. He comes back to life. Or as they say in MASH, we're going to consider he's dead. He got better. So the Antichrist is going to get better. And then the Antichrist is going to declare himself God. There will be statues of the Antichrist that will be stationed all over the world. And there will be a mark that will be given out for those who worship the image of the Antichrist. And if you take the mark and you have to worship the image, then you are safe. If you do not take the mark, you will lose your head. Just that simple. So at this time, if you become a Christian, if you're lucky enough to become a Christian, there will be great dangers in it. Now, if you're not going to become a Christian during the good times, I don't think you'll become a Christian during the bad times, but I could be wrong, and I hopefully am wrong. So now you got the 144,000 going out all over the world to preach. You got the guillotines being set up. You've got the statues being set up. And by the way, the statues will have powers. Don't know how that's going to work, but they'll be able to talk. They'll be able to call down lightning. They'll be able to do a lot of things. Now, the mark of the beast, if you have it, you have to have it, or you will not be able to take any business, grocery shopping. Everything in life will have to be done by the mark of the beast. You will either go in your right hand or in your forehead. Which, by the way, a doctor that dealt with bio chips said are the two best areas of the body to place the microchip or biochip. So now we have the rise of the Antichrist as God. And he will do one more thing that will upset the Jews during the Great Tribulation. He will commit the abomination. Now, the abomination is going to be the sacrificing of a hog inside the temple. It will defile the temple and the people that's involved there. At this particular point, that's when everything starts to break down. But right now, we're worried about the 3.5 year mark. Mid-tribbers do not have to worry about it. Post-tribbers do have to worry about it, because post-tribulation, we're going to be stuck down. If we're post-tribulation, we're going to be stuck down here till Armageddon, which I do not think we will. I know some people that do believe in post-tribulation. I don't discuss it because I don't see it. And I don't see anything in the Bible that points to a post-tribulation. I have seen things that point to a pre-tribulation or a mid-tribulation, but not to a post-tribulation. Next week we will talk about the 7 trumpet judgments. Or at least start on them. I do not know how far we'll get on there, but hey, I came here a day early because I want y'all to pray for me tomorrow. I've already put this down on Facebook, and anyone else that sees this, tomorrow marks the 1 year anniversary since my life changed. And I'm going to be lucky enough to have a cousin come down here. But I wanted to get this out today in case I did not feel like doing it tomorrow. Hey, I hope you will tune in next week. We'll try to be back at our regular time at 7 o'clock on Friday. And we will talk about what's going on in the world. Goodbye. Good news. And as I say, if you're going to leave anything below, be classy, not trashy. Goodbye, everybody.